Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Beres here, coming to you. It seems weird. It feels a little bit like today's Tuesday, doesn't it? Because we did have Martin Luther King Day, and that was on Monday, and so we were off that day. But actually, today is Wednesday, hump day, as Leland likes to say. And we've got a good show on tap for you. In fact, our guest is on the way, perhaps caught in traffic. Sue Fort-White, Executive Director of Our Kids, a fantastic charitable organization that works here in town with children. And I think they have some interaction with law enforcement that are dealing with abuse situations and the monies that are needed to support organizations like that. Sue's here, and she'll be joining us in a moment. What we're going to talk this morning is not only about that organization, the importance of it and how you can get involved, but also what I consider to be one of the premier fundraising activities in the state. And it sells out every year. And part of the reason we're doing this today is to promote it. But if you've heard of Soup Sunday, we do this every year. I've been fortunate enough to be able to MC the event, but Soup Sunday is coming up on Sunday, February 24th, so about a month or so from now, and it does sell out. We'll tell you more about what Soup Sunday is. It's just a cool concept for a fundraising activity, you know. Whether it's fundraising or not, this is something, if they just did it, I think people would go to. It's a chance to try so many cool soups, but more importantly, the money raised at this event, which happens over at the football stadium, goes toward Our Kids. So we'll get into that with Sue, who's walking in right now. Come on up, Sue. It's Sue Fort. We're going to mic her up while I'm chattering. She's going to take her time getting up here. And, you know, we'll take phone calls if you want to join in the conversation this morning as we talk about Our Kids and what they do. But just a reminder, and we'll recap this for you again, but Soup Sunday, it's an annual event. It's a great fundraising activity. Has raised more than $1.4 million over the years for this, some 250 restaurants. And the whole idea is they come over the years. There's not that many. There's going to be about 50 this year that serve soup. And you get to go around to all the serving stations and try it, and there's judging, and then they have a winner and all of this, and there's a silent auction. And again, all of that money going toward the Our Kids, which we're going to talk about primarily this morning. But tickets are available. It sells out, and you can go to www.ourkidscenter.com. And I think it's $25 a ticket. And I see here there's some new restaurants that will be participating this year. Red Perch, Little Fib, Saltine, among others. A great panel of judges. I thought at one time I was a judge. And then no, Sue said no. Nick, we need you to MC the event. Am I MCing it again this year?
Of course you are.
I am. You sure?
Yes. Yes, you are the best.
I am not. You're very nice.
You are. So much energy you bring.
That's why you and I get along so well. I know no one who has the energy of this woman. And it's great because you pour it in to this cause.
Yes.
All right, so I was trying to tell them about, remind folks again, the details of Our Kids and what it is you all do. Then we'll get into the organization and the charity and all that.
Okay, so Our Kids provides medical evaluations and crisis counseling in response to child sexual abuse. We we are trauma informed, and we feature multidisciplinary approach of nurse practitioners and social workers. They work in a team situation with every child and family. We serve 47 counties in Middle Tennessee. Okay. We have 4 satellite clinics. One's in Cookeville, one's in Lawrenceburg, one is in Clarksville, and one is in Manchester. So we have— You cover the state. Middle Tennessee. Yeah, Middle Tennessee. So we have an integrated presence, and we really, you know, one of the most important things about our mission is that every child and every family deserves expert, compassionate response. And child sexual abuse knows no boundaries. Every race, every socioeconomic status, every religion, every geographical situation. I mean, it is pervasive, and you know, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 7 boys will experience some form of child sexual abuse before age 18.
That's amazing when you think 1 in 4 girls by the age of 18. By the way, how long has Our Kids been around?
We are in our 32nd year of service.
30, that's hard for me to believe. I've only been involved with it for the last few years, but 32 years?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm curious, in the absence of Our Kids, if it wasn't here, what would there be to address this? I mean, it's a need, and I wish something like Our Kids could be everywhere. And I know there's similar organizations, but in the absence of it, just to say how important this is, if it wasn't there, how would these services be provided?
I shudder to think, and the reason why I say that is because one thing that I didn't say is that the experts are on call 24/7 every single day and night of the year, because children are assaulted at every hour of the day and night on the weekends. And I asked the clinical team members one day, why did you begin in 1990 to share call? That's a burden. And they said because children were languishing in emergency departments. You know, evaluating child sexual abuse is a technical subspecialty. You have to know what you're looking at, how you need to know how to collect forensic evidence. But most important, you need to be able to, know what you're doing, know what you're looking for, understand that there are physical conditions that mimic what you would think child sexual abuse looks like. And also you need to be able to de-escalate the caregiver. They are distressed beyond belief. Even if the last sexual contact to the child maybe happened last week or last month or even last year, it is a shock and a trauma. And you know, it is jarring. It creates chaos in the family because 95% of the time, the perpetrator is someone that's known and trusted and even loved. We have one of the largest clinics of our kind in the country. We evaluate over 850 children a year. And consistently, Nick, 65% of our patient volume has been 7 years of age and younger. And so, you know, we are talking about the most vulnerable children in our midst. The other thing that I hope we talk about this morning is the What If I Told You campaign, whatifitoldyu.com.
I have that bumper sticker on my car.
I know, and I've got some treasures. I've got some swag for you because we love you so much.
Well, what if hey, by the way, we should say, these evaluations you're talking about, and you said it is technical, and there's there's a skill to this, because some of what, anyway, you come about is to help the families and the children, but doesn't that end up sometimes in court?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, so you're working in concert to some degree with the prosecutor's office? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, we collect forensic evidence. We attend child protective investigative team meetings. It's a multidisciplinary approach to all abuse cases, and so we attend about 16 of those a month. And yes, sometimes it may take 18 months for the case to get to court, but we respond to approximately 80 subpoenas a year. Okay, well, that's why it's so important that you do it right, and we have skilled experts that know what they're doing. That's right. Because that'll get torn apart in court. If you don't, then the perpetrator, if they're guilty, could walk. I mean, it's very important you guys do it right. Everything has to be defensible in a court of law. And so there's dictation. There's a medical report that contains dictation from the social worker and from the nurse practitioner about the collecting the medical history from the caregiver, speaking with the child, and then the exam itself. This is not a 20-minute medical transaction, Nick. This is an encounter that lasts between an hour and a half and sometimes 4 hours, depending on the circumstances, the last sexual contact, but also what else is going on in the family. We do a full psychosocial assessment. There's a lot going on. It's almost never just child sexual abuse. All right, listen, we'll take a break on that. And we come back, I mean, as I said, we're going to talk about What If I Told You. We also, a lot of this would not happen without sponsors. And sponsors are involved with things for various reasons. The bottom line is, and we're going to mention them this morning because there's some fantastic sponsors that have been with you, and it's important that we give them credit, because without a lot of their support and the support of folks who are going to be going to Soup Sunday, and we'll talk about that as well. Let's take a break. When we come back, if you have questions or comments about the organization, want to know more about Soup Sunday, the line's up on the TV there, 737-7587. Back with Sue Fort White and more right after this. Stay with us. I love this.
South is making it easier for you to own a new home. If you are a first-time buyer or not owned a home in 3 years, stop throwing your money away on rent.